Good afternoon, Green Latinos, and welcome to Green Latinos Cafecito. Salud.
Salud.
Cheers. Salud.
Buenas tardes.
It is December 15th, 2016.
Wow, 19, you're
Yeah.
aging yourself there.
That was
Getting a little old.
That was, and it's a Thursday, a cold Thursday in Washington, D.C., and we are here together with board members Andrea Delgado and Chris Espinoza, who is our COO and VP. And we are feeling a little nostalgic for the year as we head into the holidays. I hope everyone is looking forward to some time with their families. Are you guys going home for the holidays?
I'm staying in the area. I did a lot of traveling for the election, and then thereafter we went to North Dakota in a solidarity action with the Standing Rock Sioux, and I'm planning to lay low this holiday and just spend time with family.
Nice. What are
I'm
you doing?
sure Kiruba will love that.
My dog is going to be very happy about that.
And you, Chris?
I am going home tomorrow. I have a 7 a.m. flight back to sunny California.
You're going to Santa Paula?
Yes,
Jealous.
Of course.
You're going
Jealous.
a little slice of heaven on
Beautiful
Earth?
city on Earth. I
Oh
can't
my
wait.
goodness. Fantastic.
What about you, Mark?
Me, I'm heading back to lovely Los Alamitos, California on Sunday. So I'm psyched about that. Yeah, 10 days out there. I'll be back on the 29th. So maybe we'll get together for New Year's.
Very nice.
You mentioned Standing Rock. So can you tell us a little about the Green Latinos delegation trip to Standing Rock?
Oh my goodness. Where do we begin? It was, I would say, one of the most incredible experiences that I've been able to participate in my life. We had the opportunity to get a handful of us, thanks to the leadership of Mark and Chris here, in making sure that we coalesced. We got a group of Green Latinos to be able to go to North Dakota and stand in solidarity with the Standing Rock Sioux and all of the allies and water protectors that, you know, have been camping out there for months to raise awareness about the threat of the North Dakota pipeline to their communities and their main water resource. And it was one of the most spiritual, ceremonial, powerful, you know, events that I could have ever participated in, and just the sort of the love and the power and the collective power that was shown. It's hard to describe. I mean, I think it's a once in a lifetime experience that we were able to be part of. I feel like any words could not truly do it justice for all the people that are there or that have only been able to see the experience of the water protectors through the media and the media portrayals, which have not been, you know, fair in its coverage. You kind of have to be there to fully understand what's going on. I don't know if, Chris, you want to add a little bit about that.
Would you say that was a highlight for you of the menu of things we worked on
Oh my
this
God,
year?
yes, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, part of, you know, why Green Latinos was created was to highlight issues that are not being raised by, you know, major environmental organizations, to uplift the voices of communities that are being disproportionately impacted by environmental conservation or natural resources issues, and the issues affecting Native American lands. It's been a growing interest within, you know, our community, since a lot of us are, you know, come from that sort of ancestry, and we're tied to the land, and we share similar cultural values, the ancestral respect and reverence for natural resources, whether it's, you know, La Pachamama or, you know, any other names that we have for Mother Earth, and the need, the urgency to respect it for the sake of not just communities now, but for future generations, the well-being and health of our children.
Yeah.
I think there was a couple things that really moved me about the trip. One was when we were talking to the chairman, and we asked him, we said, what do you need? You know, what can we tell people that you need and they should bring? And he said, well, if I said I needed water, then there would be 10 pallet trucks full of water that came
Bottled
here.
water. Mm-hmm.
But then we wouldn't know what to do with all that water. So what I say to people, and this is the chairman, I say, pray about it, think about it, and decide for yourself how you want to contribute to our effort. And things as we walked through the camps, that's how they were running.
Yep.
We went to the kitchen, and Mama's kitchen, and we talked to Mama, and Mama said, she came here with nothing and said, I want to cook for these people. And within weeks, she had a solar array, she had an RV, she had a full cooking tent. It was incredible, and all of it donated. And so it was just, it's organic, comes from a very centered place, and she says, I have food delivered to me, and when I have stuff that I don't need, I send it to the next kitchen.
Yeah.
They share everything. Yeah, I'm not posing it as a commune or anything, but I'm posing it as just an environment, a community where everyone is in it for each other. And, that was exciting to me.
What I really enjoyed about that trip is I felt like us being down there sort of underscores what the three of us had talked about years ago when we started envisioning what an organization like GreenLatinos could be, which is, we look for opportunities to build coalitions, to help communities that are in David and Goliath fights at the time when that is most needed. And there's been a number of things that we worked on this year that sort of underscored how important that was. Standing Rock, of course, being a very significant one of those battles. But, as we're sort of looking back on what GreenLatinos has done over the last year, one thing that really stands out for me is our work on addressing toxic landfills in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
We had the opportunity to organize a delegation to go down to the island to meet with community members. We took Representative Gutierrez along with us, as well as some pretty powerful GreenLatinos members. Ignacia Moreno stands out certainly as someone with her background at the Department of Justice was just so instrumental. And hearing directly from community members about the conditions that they have to endure on a daily basis of living next door to these landfills that are completely out of compliance with basic environmental protections and regulations. Methane from the trash just permeating throughout the community. Landfills with no liners, so the toxic leachate is just going directly into the groundwater. Was it was so disheartening to hear. But then the optimism from the community members, the feeling that we've been able to branch out and to share our story and to bring attention to this serious issue was something that I felt particularly proud about. That was a highlight for me, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Bringing Congressman Gutierrez out there, he naturally, especially with the recent passage of Promesa at that point, he brought a lot of attention because people wanted to talk to him about Promesa and his feelings and his work on that. Speaking about Promesa, we also had a battle on Promesa regarding the leasing of lands on Vieques from the National Refuge and how we battled to protect those lands. Do you want to talk about that?
I wish Raul,
Raul
Garcia was here to fully do it justice, but I guess
Cheers to Raul.
Cheers to Raul.
For his hard work on that.
We have amazing GreenLatinos in this network that just consistently volunteer their time and expertise that are working to elevate these issues. In this particular case, is the Vieques Wildlife Refuge was going to become, essentially be opened up for development by putting the burden on the government of the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, and Raul working hand in hand with several Latino civil rights organizations really had an amazing collective effort to educate offices, the Hispanic caucus, to bring folks together to fully understand the ramifications of that for the people of Puerto Rico. Environmental issues aside, this was just a way that the majority in Congress was trying to undermine the protections for this beautiful and pristine place that the people of Puerto Rico are, have a lot of affinity and pride in. So we're definitely proud to have a role in facilitating that process and educating folks in Congress and elevating this issue at the national level and working in respectful and thoughtful partnership with our allies in the Latino civil rights community.
Well, that's what I really enjoyed about that particular legislative effort was, it demonstrated what can happen when multiple constituencies come together. We had, spearheaded by Raul and Earth Justice, a pretty strong team of both environmental organizational advocates, advocates on the ground, and Hispanic civil rights advocates coming together. And it was really one of those moments that stood out for me because most of the time you don't think of victories in Congress. They're just so few and far between. But that campaign demonstrated what the potential is in terms of advocacy when all these constituencies come together. And thinking about all the things that have happened this year, that's also something that kind of stands out to me because, Andrea, that's something that you sort of innovated and spearheaded, that model of advocacy on the worker protection standard and our advocacy around that. And that was really an issue that wasn't really on anyone's radar. Obviously, you can share all the consequences and the significance of that rulemaking, but that was another instance where everyone just kind of came together and it was very powerful.
I guess that goes back to our principles, like why we do what we do, and making sure that anything that we do, it's not just in addition to sometimes being in concert with the major environmental and conservation groups, really looking for places where we can be doing more, or entirely kicking off and designing collective strategies to protect Latino communities and immigrant communities from exposures to toxic chemicals. What you were mentioning, Chris, the Agricultural Worker Protection Standard is a standard. It's something that essentially the Environmental Protection Agency has the sole responsibility for ensuring that they're protecting farm workers from pesticide exposure. This was, due to a court decision, back in the 70s. It was decided that unlike every other worker in other industrial sectors, farm workers would fall under the jurisdiction of the EPA instead of the Department of Labor. Something that was very worrisome, given that the EPA is not necessarily an agency that has an experience, in setting occupational health and safety standards for workers. So we had the opportunity to work hand in hand with labor unions, with farm workers across several states, to make sure that we were uplifting their stories, that they were sharing the imperative, the urgency for having basic things like protective equipment, training in a language that they understood, training that was more frequent than every 5 years. Something as to the average person is ridiculous to think that we were allowing children to apply pesticides. There was no minimum age for pesticide applicators under the worker protection standard, and we had to fight very hard. So that's where it brings us back to the importance of working together across sectors, across movements, and coalescing around something that is just so fundamental and necessary and fundamentally unjust. Like, how are we allowing workers in the fields to be poisoned? We have 500,000 children working in agriculture, and they're not even doing it with the adequate equipment. They're at critical stages of their development, and they're getting exposed to chemicals that affect their brain development, the development of their bodies, affecting their ability to learn and grow and fully take advantage of their full capacities in society. So I was just very, very happy that Green Latinos, just without thinking twice about it, all the Green Latinos Network coalesced around that supported it, played a key role in administrative advocacy efforts as well as congressional advocacy, educating members on the Hill about why this was so important and why it was incumbent upon the EPA to right this historical wrong and finally upgrade these standards to provide meaningful protections for farm workers.
And it was a natural for us. It was not something that the other green groups were picking up on.
No, not at all.
And it wasn't at the time something that even the EPA was focused on. And to be able, we want to be able to do that again. And this coming year, we've got a lot of battles on our hands.
We do.
And both of you guys had talked about community-based actions that we can bring in cross-sector support and power and money and media to be able to win battles in localities and states while still playing a strong defensive posture in federal and DC world. But I think it's more vital than ever that we take the model that you had talked about earlier and really pump it up so that we're focused on driving these local battles into bigger, more unified battles.
I mean, that's what I'm looking forward to in 2017.
One thing.
We have just so much on the horizon. Our national summit,
Sillamar.
24th?
Yeah, 23rd through 26th. That's going to be exciting.
That's May.
Yeah. That,
May 2017. Save the date.
That's super exciting. I know you've talked about plans to bring on some additional staff to focus on, like you said, those local battles that are primed for activity, and with the right resources, with the right collaborations, we could really take those over the finish line. So what are you guys most looking forward to in 2017?
That's what I'm looking forward to. If I can look forward to anything, it's going to be getting ourselves out there to win some local battles that really are winnable and will be good for everybody.
There's a lot of great work that's ahead, and I just got reminded of something that Congressman Tony Cardenas said at an event last night, and that's something that I really call on everyone that's listening and tuning into this is, what are we doing to reach back? So many of us, we have incredible, whether we're immigrants ourselves, like myself, or we're descendants of immigrants, we come from, like you mentioned, a long line of folks that fought so hard to get us to the place where we're in. And what are we doing to reach back? Whether we're the organizers in communities or people that are curious about, some issues that are happening and want to get more involved, or whether, like you're like us, we're here in Washington, D.C., working in coalitions and with lawmakers. Whenever an issue comes across, our table, whenever we're getting a call from communities about an issue that no one else is raising, even if it's our own organizations that have simply not prioritized a community's concern, making sure that everything we do is connected to the community, that it's always the community's voice and agenda and asks that's driving, what we're prioritizing as an organization, and that we're sharing our intelligence, our resources, our collective resources. We have expertise across the organization that is available to Green Latinos members to uplift each other, no matter where we are across the United States and its territories. And that applies to Latino communities, but also Native American communities and African American communities. Now more than ever, the time for solidarity it's crucial.
Yep.
It's crucial, and it's incumbent upon each and every one of us to be thinking, let's not get caught up in our silos. Like, what is, if I can spare an hour of every day, what can I do to work with immigrant rights groups, with labor unions, with civil rights organizations to stand hand in hand? Can I share contacts? Can I share, congressional office relationships, media relationships? These are very simple things that we can do. So just lifting up. I look forward to 2017 being a year where, we really emphasize on the spirit of sharing and generosity. Because the fights that are to come are going to be important ones, and we need to be ready.
Speaking of sharing and generosity, none of this is possible without resources. This year, we had a tremendous amount of support from our members and allies and partners. So I'm just going to throw in a shameless plug. If you can help us out, every dollar counts. Go to www.greenlatinos.org/donate. Every dollar we try and maximize to the greatest effect to communities that need it most. All of the projects we worked on this year, Standing Rock, Vieques, Puerto Rico, toxic landfills, worker protection, all of that was supported by just folks supporting Green Latinos and donating. So
Yeah. So it's important. Thank you, Chris. I'm happy that you said that. I would have forgotten about it. So happy 2016.
Happy 2016, and we hope that you all have a lovely holiday and that you're ready to roll up your sleeves and fight with us and raise issues with us that we should be looking at. So we're counting on you to work with us in the coming year.
cheers.
Salud.